famous writer goes to Ireland to scatter his parents' ashes, but finds out the hotel he's staying at has a dark secret when he investigates the disappearance of a missing employee. Now, this is what I will say about this movie. I was the only one in the theater when I watched this movie. It started past 10 p.m. and it was very creepy. And I had a really good time with this movie. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. Now, supernatural horror is a genre that I like. It's not my favorite, but it's generally movies that I do like. And when going into this movie, I did not expect to really like it or think it's okay. But I had a really good time with this movie. It also reminded me a lot of 1408 meets Barbarian, how it goes downward. And I really like the poster for this movie. Just honestly, I really do. I just find the poster, just shout out to the poster because I really do like it. But let's go ahead and talk about the pros for Hokum. The first pro I want to give it is this movie is shot very well and very interesting too. I especially like the shots of how they use doors and like different doors and opening holes like that. I think that it just visually looks very good. And the visuals of this movie also I really like. I could see one visual absolutely not being for everyone, but I think they play it very well in the movie, especially when it goes to the childhood stuff, and I do like that. And I like how they foreshadow with the parents. I think they did a very good job foreshadowing how he feels about his parents, especially when how he treats the remains. I think they did a good job foreshadowing that. I also like the creepy atmosphere. This is a very good atmosphere. It's very creepy. I really like that element of the movie. I like the folklore stuff. I think having the villain be the way it is, and the visuals, again, very solid in this movie. I definitely can see the look of the villain not being for everybody, but I actually really like how they used it in this movie. And I like how they explained Fiona, because you couldn't usually just have a throwaway character for the recent investigation, but I actually like how and why the character got involved, and even why they got chosen, because I think that was a really good way to have that work with the characters. I just really like the element of the movie, and I just did not expect to like it, honestly, as much as I did. But the best thing about this movie, personally, my favorite thing ever, and acting-wise, I think everyone really did a good job all across the board. They did a really good job. And I like the hotel because they made the hotel very open, very, pretty. And I like how the look Ireland outside the hotel is very pretty. But as soon as you get to it at night, it just becomes very different, like very creepy. And I really like how they kind of make that switch, even down to the bell. I just really like those parts of the movie. They did a really good job with that. And I also will say that even for being in theater by yourself, very solid. But let's go ahead and talk about the mixed. And the biggest mix is going to be the main character. It has nothing to do with the acting, but I struggled to get behind the main character for the first few minutes. Now, I understand he was like a very rude famous writer, and I understand, I get that. I get that. However, he just was like, not only was he like extremely rude to everyone and kind of unlikable, but he just like wasn't thinking like very logically in the beginning. And I understand you don't look for horror movies all for logic, but I don't know. It seems like he became more logical once you actually get to the hotel at night, but I just don't totally buy the logic fully in. And this could be a nitpick for some, but I just struggled to really get into the movie following the main character for the first few minutes. Once you get to the hotel, no problem. But before we got there, I struggled a bit with that character. And that is like the only really mix I have for this movie, because I just did not expect to like this movie as much as I did. But I do have a couple of cons. The biggest con for me is going to be the jump scares. Again, just they feel like very jump scares you see before. They have the music thing too, where it's like where you kind of know it's gonna happen. And there's a lot of them. Very generic. Another thing, and again, this definitely could be a nitpick here, but I feel like some characters, again, you're told something very early on of how to solve your problem. And again, it's really on me if I totally didn't notice you had it before, and I'll take accountability for that. But how do you conveniently have the one thing you need to save you last minute? I don't know. That just felt a little too convenient. Again, nothing bad. Like, again, nothing terrible how that goes, but visually, loved how that went. The convenience to the answer, not the best, but I understand why they made that choice completely. Another negative is going to be the CGI fire. The CGI fire, it's not atrocious, but at one point you can actually see the separation of the furniture and the fire, which I feel like you shouldn't really be able to see, because you can just visually tell them apart so well. It just didn't care for the CGI fire. Again, not the worst. It's not on screen for like too terribly long. We know how bad it is, but it does not look amazing. Going into spoilers now, and this is your spoiler warning because this is coming out on May 1st. So if you're seeing this before, here's your warning for spoilers. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, you can. I have stuff on screen. So wait till you see new spoilers on screen if you don't want to hear spoilers. And let's just talk about just how this goes, because I actually want to say something, and this is gonna be a lesson to everybody. The employee mentions earlier that he messed with his drink after he was rude to him. And this should be a lesson to everybody. This is why you do not mess with people who have access to your room, and anyone who has access to your food or drink. You be nice and be respectful to service workers, because they hold a lot of power when it comes to what you eat, drink, and your belongings. That's all I have to say about why that character did that. The ending with him setting this building on fire, it almost feels kind of inconvenient in a way, but when I actually left, it kind of hit me that, oh, you're just trying to stop this from happening again. I can understand that. I get that. But it took me a second to realize that. And that's kind of how it ended, especially with him in the hospital again, because even when we go to, let's talk about Fiona though, because he was in the hospital before because he hung himself. Now, did he or not? I feel like that almost, was that the spirits? I genuinely don't know if it was the spirits or not. But Fiona was the one who called the police, cut him down, so he wanted to help Fiona. And Fiona ended up getting taken that night by, I forget his exact position name, but he was in charge, and turns out she was actually having an affair with him, and she was pregnant, but she wanted to keep the baby. He didn't want her to keep the baby, so he fed her to the witch, basically, and was like, gave her to the witch so he didn't have to deal with her, and tried to cover it up as much as humanly possible. And she looked very creepy when she got out the elevator though, like very, very creepy. Very creepy there. And just having Fiona and why she got taken be the center, and having, again, like the villain of it, just trying to really be, like, cover him and make sure that this secret does not get found out at all, was very messed up. He was a very solid villain in this movie, because I truly did not pick up on him being the villain, or that he was the one behind it, actually, really at all. Did not pick up on that at all. I think that it was very well done from the actor's part. So, and again, he came back to the hotel, and then there was the fire. They escaped. They lived. And then again, you have the message with the parent stuff, because he did something to his mother. I forget the exact specifics, but he did. But there was an accident involving his mother, how he was somehow involved with her death, and it was an accident. He feels guilt over that, and how his father became a terrible person. And you can easily see that because it's forecasted very early on with the ashes of being very gentle with his mother, but when it comes to his father, he just didn't care for it around. So great foreshadowing there too. And how that's kind of explored and kind of messed with in the movie, I think very solid. It kind of explains why he became the way he did when he talks about his childhood, especially the bleak endings. I think that was also a part of the movie. And it opens with a way, and the opening, you see him kind of like write, kind of like a open-ended to it, and by the end when he rewrites, he ends it in a way that's more of positive ending, which was a good development for the character. Am I completely sold on the actual character? No, but that's just a me thing of really struggling to get into the actual character from the start. I just had a really good time with this movie. I just didn't expect to like it as much as I do. I don't think this movie, I think if you like Supernatural, people are gonna like this movie, but if you don't really care for Supernatural, I don't know how you can feel about this movie. So comment down below if you're gonna see Hokum, or did you already see it? Did you like it? Not like it? Comment down below, because next month we have a couple new movies coming out, and we have a couple new fresh ideas that are not new releases coming out, because there's a bit of a wait period before a new release. Comment down below how excited you are for Hokum, or not at all. And I'll see you guys soon with a brand new video.